June 20th committee sessions for Bellingham City Council. We are going to start with a City Council special meeting today. It's a closed record hearing to consider an ordinance amending the Western Washington University Institutional Master Plan to enlarge IMP District 18 to allow student housing along South College Drive. Western Washington University has requested quasi-judicial amendments to the WWU IMP to enlarge IMP District 18 to allow student housing along South College Drive between the Buchanan Towers Residence Hall and Fairhaven Student Housing Complex. IMP Districts 13, 15, and 17 would be reduced in size, and student activities would be added as an IMP land use classification in District 18. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposal at a public hearing on May 19, 2016, and recommended approval 7-0. City Council's decision on the IMP amendment must be based on the record created before the Planning Commission. And I am now going to turn this over to Alan Mariner.
Deputy Alan Mariner, Deputy City Attorney. With me this afternoon is Chris Cook, who's the lead planner on this proposal, and also from Western Washington University, Ed Simpson, who's the Assistant Director of Facilities Development and Capital Budget. As Ms. Vargas indicated, this is a closed record hearing to consider, and I want to emphasize, quasi-judicial amendments to the Western's Institutional Master Plan to enlarge District 18 and shrink the surrounding districts 13, 15, 16, and 17 to allow student housing along South College Drive between Buchanan Towers and the Fairhaven student housing. And we can see that from, you can see, and the numbers don't show up that well, but this is 18. The hashed red shows the existing boundaries, and the dark red show what it would be if you pass this amendment. So you'd be enlarging 18, taking away from the other districts, 16 to the west, and 17 and 15 and certainly 13. And the idea is that the housing for approximately 200 students would go right in here, in this area right here. Here's Buchanan Towers to the south, and here's the Fairhaven student housing. And the reason the amendments are necessary, it's necessary to increase the area of District 18 to be able to fit in that new dormitory and stay within the floor area and building area ratios that are in the Institutional Master Plan Standards chapter. So you need more land to be able to put more building in District 18. So that's why it's being enlarged and the other districts are being shrunk down. Planning Commission, as you've heard, considered this matter at a public hearing in mid-May and voted 7-0 to recommend approval by Council. Their findings of fact, conclusions, and recommendation are in your agenda bill packet at pages 245 through 251. So under our municipal code, section 2110-140, you're required to base your decision on the record created before the Planning Commission and the Planning Commission's findings of fact, conclusions, and recommendation. The complete record, as indicated on the agenda bill, was provided for your review in Council office prior to today's closed record hearing. And while myself, Mr. Cook, Mr. Simpson are here to answer any questions, those questions must relate to the record that was created before the Planning Commission. We can't give you new information that wasn't part of that proceeding. Your decision should be based on the amendment approval criteria, which are in BMC sections 2040-020 and 050, and can be found in your packet on pages 246 through 250. And then at the conclusion of this hearing, Council may adopt the Planning Commission's recommendation and approve the amendments, or approve the amendments with modifications, or remand the amendments application back to the Planning Commission to consider additional review of specific issues that you could identify today, or finally you could deny the amendments. If you vote to adopt the Planning Commission's recommendation and approve the amendments, you have two options with regards to the ordinance in your packet on pages 235 through 251. You can make a motion to bring the ordinance forward tonight for a first and second reading, or because this proposal is not time sensitive, if you need more time, we can bring forward that ordinance for a first and second reading at some future council meeting. So this evening, you're going to report out the decision you're going to make in this special meeting, and if you decide to, if there's a motion to bring forward the ordinance tonight, you would do a first and second reading on that ordinance that's in your packet. And with that, I'll turn it back to Ms. Vargas for any council questions.
Council questions? Councilmember Lillquist.
First, a simple question. Would the new building as proposed, would its footprint lie entirely within the boundaries of Area 18? It seems like the right-of-way takes up most of that space. Would there be room for the new building as proposed?
And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be entirely within Area 18. The other thing I would say is that's a whole different application, building application to actually do that. This is just setting it up so that it can fit within District 18.
Right, need to make sure it fit.
Anyone else, or I'm going to defer back to Councilmember Lillquist? Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
okay, you said that the area is being enlarged so as to not exceed the floor area ratio and the building area ratios. Why not just adjust the ratios? Why not have the ratios reviewed and have that be the amendment?
Well, I'll take a crack at this, and Chris, because the ratios affect all districts within the university. So it's a much bigger change than adjusting one district. I mean, so you'd have to make that, there'd be that review of should we adjust those ratios for the entire institutional master plan. And so this was more focused on a specific project in District 18.
Was it discussed that you could adjust the ratios in one area only?
I'll defer to Chris.
There is that possibility, but again, you're looking at a single district and tailoring the single district to be different than the rest of the district. So you'd have unique standards for one district and trying to maintain consistency there.
I just think that we're gerrymandering the district to get the same result.
Councilmember Borneman.
Yeah, looking at the record, there seemed to be major, kind of only one major criticism of that, and that had to do with the effect of doing this on the outback, on the growing abilities and stuff for that area.
We can comment on that.
Yes,
there was evidence presented at the hearing, and I'm going to let Chris describe what evidence was presented as far as the impact on light on that area.
Right, so the Outback Farm is in a valley. If you drive up South College Drive, there's basically a hill there, and the new east boundary of District 18 will be the high point. Basically, it aligns with the trail at the top of that hill. Then it drops back down the other side. The east side is pretty heavily vegetated, adjacent to the Outback Farm, and staff did a analysis using our LiDAR information that shows the tree canopy growth at the height, including the ground elevation, and it showed that the vegetation in that area already pretty significantly impacts the Outback Farm, and the new development that would be to the west of that vegetation should have little additional impact.
Okay, I'm just curious. I know that seemed to be the one issue, so I was curious. Okay.
Councilmember Barker.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance amending the Western Washington University Institute Master Plan to enlarge IMP District 18 to allow student housing along South College Drive.
Second.
Council members, any questions? Discussion? I have a question. Councilmember Murphy.
Can we get clarity on whether we did the motion correctly? Because don't we need to state for first and second
Well,
reading or
I
future
would
council meeting?
prefer, that you vote whether to approve, not the ordinance, but approve the proposal and adopt the Planning Commission's findings, conclusion, and recommendation, and then secondly, consider a motion to bring forward the ordinance. The ordinance you'll consider tonight.
Okay, so I should change, I retract my motion, and I have a motion to propose to adopt the findings of the Planning Commission and to, help me with the second part?
Approve the
First and
proposal.
second reading, and approve the proposal.
Second. Councilmember Lillquist?
I'm going to vote to approve it, although I do think the way it was achieved with the boundary adjustments kind of backwards, but I look forward to the result of the change.
Any other discussion? Okay, so the motion in front of us is to approve the proposal from the Planning Commission. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with Dan Hamel excused.
Now, it's at council's option as to whether you want to consider a motion for first and second on ordinance tonight, or whether you'd rather postpone that to a future council
I
meeting.
move we do first and second tonight.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 to do second and third approval this evening.
First and second.
First and second, sorry, first and second.
So
Jumping
just to be clear, this evening, you would report out that you voted to approve the proposal and adopt the findings of the Planning Commission, and then you would do a first and second reading of the ordinance.
Okay. Marie, can you make sure I have that on my executive summary, so just in case I don't remember all those details, that would be terrific. You can help me out, Alan, if I do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Alan. Chris?